I believe that the most likely governance by the end of the century, compelled by a series of crises from the arms races and outbreaks of violence, the food, population, and environment imbalances, as well as large-scale serious injustices, will be oligarchic and highly repressive. Many of the Third World societies will have military governments, and there is reason to believe even Western liberal societies will face a period of strong conformity pressures, such as existed in the United States during the McCarthy period in the 1950s.
Regardless of what you have ever been led to believe, listen to me carefully. Senator Joseph McCarthy was absolutely correct. And in fact, the recent opening of the files of the KGB proved that he even knew the exact number of communist agents who had infiltrated our government. The revelations of history, the records of the KGB, and the recent release of the National Security Agency's deciphered cables to and from Moscow by the Venona Project have vindicated Senator Joseph McCarthy. He was destroyed by the Marxist-owned and controlled news media and Hollywood. The branding of anyone who dared to expose communists and their goal of the ultimate destruction of the United States of America as McCarthyites ensured the opening of our government to the subversive agents. Infiltration and rapid takeover of our government took place by Marxists and communists over the intervening years, and they are in control today.
The right to defend ourselves against our own government. But any such government, you must understand, is not our government. The government that exists in Washington, D.C. today is not the government defined in the Constitution for the United States of America. It is a treasonous entity set out to destroy the Constitution and bring about a world government. That's why it doesn't matter whether you elect Democrats or Republicans, things always still get worse and worse and worse and worse.
The important fact to remember is that the leaders of both the right and the left are a small, hard core of men who have been and still are Illuminists, are members of the Brotherhood. They may have been or may be members of the Christian or Jewish religions, are atheists or Buddhists, but that is only to further their own ends. Remember, the end justifies the means. They are and always have been Luciferian and internationalists. Today, the Southern Baptist Church is in the total control of the Freemasonic Lodge.
You know, they have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
They give allegiance to no particular nation, although they have used on occasion nationalism to further their cause. Their only concern is to gain greater economic and political power. The ultimate objective of the leaders of both groups is identical. That is why it doesn't make any difference whether you elect Democrat or Republican. The result has always been the same. And we go closer and closer to one world totalitarian socialist government. They are determined to win for themselves undisputed control of the wealth, natural resources, and manpower of the entire planet. They intend to turn the world into their conception of a Luciferian totalitarian socialist state. In the process, they will eliminate all Christians, Jews, and atheists. And that's why you better stop picking on the Jews. The Jews who are involved in this, who call themselves Jews, are not Jews at all. And doesn't the Bible tell you something about that? Those Jews who really are Jews will be eliminated, along with fundamentalist Muslims. Now, you've just learned one, but only one, of the great mysteries of what is coming in the future. The Rosh Hashanah also call themselves the Order. Initiates took an oath that absolved them from all allegiance except to the order and stated, quote, "I bind myself to perpetual silence and unshaken loyalty and submission to the order. All humanity which cannot identify itself by our secret sign is our lawful prey," end quote. The oath remains essentially the same to this day. The secret sign was to pass a hand over the forehead, palm inward. The countersign to hold the ear with the fingers and support the elbow in the cupped other hand. Does that sound familiar? Have you seen people exchange these signs right before your nose and you knew not what was happening? There are many other signs, a handshake, and many others. The 5 points of fellowship. The order at the highest level is known as the Order of the Quest, or the Jason Society. The cult preached that there was no heaven, no hell, only a spirit state completely different from life as we know it. The spirit could continue to be powerful on earth through a member of the order, but only if the spirit had been itself a member of the order before its death. Thus, members of the order gained power from the spirits of the dead members. Now listen to this very closely. And if you attended the Cure Convention in Wichita, Kansas, this last weekend, listen very carefully. You're going to learn something. The Rosh Hashanah took in travelers as initiates and then sent them on their way to found new chapters of the order. It is believed by some that the assassins were a branch of the Rosh Hashanah. Branches of the Rosh Hashanah are the illuminated ones, are the Illuminati, existed and still exist everywhere. One of the rules was not to use the same name and never mention the Illuminati. That rule is still in effect today. I believe that it is the breaking of this rule that resulted in Adam Weishaupt's downfall. And ever since that day, ladies and gentlemen, they called themselves fellow travelers. And this last weekend at the Cure Convention, one of the candidates for president, who was nominated but did not, was nominated to be considered for the nomination but was not elected. At his farewell speech, said that he was so happy to have met so many fellow travelers during the Cure Convention. All of you should read again the works of Hegel.
It's going to be their last stand.
Who's your political hero?
This is not an ass-kicking or ass-kissing contest. But I have to say, because I've lived it and watched it and know the facts, Donald Trump's my political hero because he's delivered common sense nationalism, prosperity, stood up against the deep state, and has been so attacked that I'm a fellow traveler, to use a communist term. I have experienced the hate he's experienced, but at a lesser level.